afternoon, and welcome to the January meeting of the Fayette County Board of Adjustments. For those of you without power that are attending today, I hope that you get power soon. I'd ask that anyone with a cell phone, please turn it to silent or turn it off, please, so it doesn't disturb the proceedings. For those of you who plan on testifying today, I'd ask that you raise your right hand. Do you here today swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth? Okay. Thank you. Okay. There are no minutes from prior meetings that have been prepared, so we don't have any of those to consider. So we'll go straight to the agenda. The first case, V 2009-8, Troy C. Myers. Is the applicant here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Are there any objectors to this case? Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
we do have some withdrawals and postponements to...
Oh, did I skip over that? Forgive me, Mr. Marks. Proceed.
I think Ms. Wiseman had
Okay. Ms. Wiseman, do you have a postponement or withdrawal? Sorry, I got out of order.
That's all right, Mr. Chairman. For the record, I'm Rena Wiseman. I'm here on a matter on page 4, Emergency Disaster Services. The board may recall we discussed this last month, and what we represented to you at that time that we had resolved with building inspection in the law department the issue of the permissibility of that use in that zone, which was the issue in our administrative appeal. But the other issue was whether the lot itself was in compliance with other aspects of the regulation in terms of landscaping and screening and so on. And we left here saying that we would submit site plan to the Division of Building Inspection to show a plan to bring it in compliance, and that we would come back and advise you and withdraw it. I have yesterday delivered a letter to the Division of Planning withdrawing the appeal as is permitted under the bylaws. It doesn't take any action of the board, but I did want to advise you of the status of this property as we discussed last month. We have met with building inspection several times. Mr. Ladenberger prepared a site plan showing parking, landscaping, circulation, and so on. That has been reviewed by the Division of Building Inspection, and at their request we've made some additions, as has the Division of Engineering. So that plan, as we understand it, is in form where we could obtain a permit to do the work. Now, we also would say to you, we expect we can get that done within 6 months, so you have some understanding of a time frame. Weather permitting, obviously, you can't do landscaping today. The other point I want to bring to your attention is that there was another issue about the non-mobile units being stored on the property, the Lundy's trucks. Those have been moved from the property and have been gone for some time. However, there are different trucks out there right now. You may or may not be aware that KU has a contract with EDS. I mean, this is what this company does. As you're aware, there is an ice storm situation in this community, and they are bringing in utility workers from several states. They are using this property as a staging area where they can house. They're using these mobile units to house these employees, to feed them. There are no hotels for these workers, so they're staying there, and they're also using that lot for the utility trucks to go out and help restore the power. They're doing this throughout the state, and they have to have a staging area to do this. So with that caveat that there are trucks there right now that aren't the mobile units, but they're actually being used, and this is an emergency situation. Building inspection is aware of it. Mr. Lundergan spoke with the president of the Neighborhood Association yesterday to advise him that that would be there, I guess, as long as it takes to get the work done. But other than that, that is our report. I'm happy to answer any questions of the board.
Okay, I'm confused. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Okay.
No. So are you withdrawing your application?
Yes.
Okay. And you expect to have an approved site plan at some point, but not have it completed, obviously, but at some point in the near future?
Some point soon, and we have, and I think we said this in the letter, that's our intention to complete the site work before July 31. That's about 6 months, which we think is reasonable given enough time for the weather to break. Some things, once the snow melts, you could do, but obviously some things we can't do till the weather breaks.
Okay. Does any of the other board members have questions for Ms. Wiseman? Okay. Staff have any addition? Okay. All right. Well, thanks for informing us of this,
Okay.
and I
Thank
appreciate
you.
your client's efforts to resolve the situation.
Okay, thanks.
Now, are there any other postponement or withdrawals?
I have one withdrawal to fill you in on and one postponement. The withdrawal is on the last page of your agenda. For LBX Company, that's the sign appeal. They've revised their sign package to meet the rules. So that's been withdrawn. We have a letter from them. That's case AV 2009-7.
Okay.
The postponement is for the Snowden request for a vehicle storage yard. On page 3 of your agenda, item number 4, that's C 2009-5. Mr. Snowden is dealing with emergency issues right now, so he just can't make it. He's requested just a 1-month postponement for that.
Okay. Now, we need to take, on the postponement, we need to take action, correct? Okay. All those in favor of postponing C 2009-5, Stephen and Kathy Snowden's, what is this? Their conditional use appeal to our February meeting, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, so it's postponed to February. Okay. Any other postponement or withdrawals? Okay. All right. Okay. So, the next case is C 2009-1, Janet Bartholomew. Is Ms. Bartholomew here? Okay. And are there any objectors here for that case? Okay. Okay. And next case is C 2009-2, Brian Casal, New Horizons Church.
Yes, sir.
Are you Mr. Casal? Okay. Are there any objectors here for that case? Okay. Next case is C 2009-3, Phases Tipton Company. Okay. You're the applicant? Okay. Are there any objectors here for that case? Okay. Next case is C 2009-6, Atchison Heller Construction Company. Okay. You here for them? Any objectors to that case? Okay. All right. Now, is there anyone here who's not heard their case called? All right. Then we'll start with V 2009-8, Troy C. Myers. Would you come forward, please? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Could you state your name for the record, please?
Troy Myers, here representing Susan Irwin, the homeowner where we erected the fence at 3932 Palomar Cove.
Okay, and so are you the contractor?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, the staff has recommended approval. Are there any additional comments from staff? Okay. Any questions from the board?
for the staff, I'd like to understand whether the law needs to be rewritten or if we're comfortable setting a precedent that allows someone sort of, as long as, is the egress, the ability for emergency vehicles to go through a yard, if that's possible, then are we just going to ignore this law in the future?
I don't think the purpose was for actual vehicles to get through there, but generally for property maintenance and for emergency personnel to get through there unobstructed. The rule was designed under the assumption that in the R3 zone for single-family detached residences, you can build on each side of a side property line as close as 3 feet. And in many new developments, that's what happens. So that only leaves 6 feet of open space between the actual walls of the residences. So that's why the rule was written, to prevent any obstructions within that 6 feet of open area. Now, cases do come up where homes are built with a much larger setback, which is the case here. So I don't think it's setting a bad precedent by any means. I don't think we'd want to do a text amendment just for this particular issue, but in association with other things as they come up, that might happen in the future to clarify when, you know, that 3 feet is critical and when it's not, so.
Any other questions?
These people were given a permit with a plan that was in place, is that correct?
It is. We got a permit. We had the outlined objective of what the homeowner wanted, and then at some point, sometime after the permit was obtained, there were some amendments to the scope of the work. Instead of coming off the back corners of the house, it was decided that we would make a little adjustment and come off the front corners of the house.
I guess my point here is, though, you were given a permit for a certain plan and then you changed the plan.
Yes, ma'am.
Was there any thought that maybe you had to go back and discuss that with the building inspection people?
Well, in hindsight, definitely. I mean, we didn't realize at the time when we got the permit. We do probably between 200 and 300 jobs a year in Fayette County and surrounding counties. And I'm sure it was on the permit that it was in an R3 zone. But on the left side of the property is commercial zoning. The back of the property abuts to about 20 acres of farmland. And so, you know, you would think that it would be okay in that instance. In hindsight, we should have gone back and requested another permit.
Any other questions, discussion? If not, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, item V 2009-8, Troy Myers appeals for a variance to reduce the required side yard from 3 feet to 0 feet in order to locate a fence to remain as built in a planned neighborhood R3 zone on property located at 3932 Palomar Cove Lane, be approved with the recommendations as set forth by the staff.
Second.
All right, thank you, Mr. Stumbo. Ms. Edwards. All those in favor of Mr. Stumbo's motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Okay. So it's 4-2-2. All right. Motion passes.
Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Hope not to see you again, Mr. Myers. Next case is C 2009-1, Janet Bartholomew. Good afternoon. Would you state your name, please?
Janet Bartholomew, Janet Veronica Bartholomew.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Now, the staff has recommended approval of your case, subject to 5 conditions. Have you reviewed those conditions?
The conditions,
Yes, ma'am.
you can repeat it for me if you want to.
All right. Well, maybe one of the staff has a copy of it. They can show to you.
Oh, you mean what's on the paper? Okay, I read it.
Conditions here, make sure you've read those and understand.
Okay. I did read it. Yeah.
I want to see if they will make her fix the fence before they.
Everything is in.
Have you read those, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. Do you agree to abide by those?
Yes.
Now, I have a question for Mr. Hume. From reading the report, there's some concerns with the fence. I haven't visited this property. Now, let's see. Okay, condition number 2 is that you will issue a occupancy permit. Will it be a requirement that the fence be repaired and in good shape before that occupancy
Yes.
permit is
What
issued?
the applicant needs to do is install the fence and have all the conditions met prior to calling me. She will call me, make an appointment, I will come out, investigate, and then issue a CO or the certificate of
Or it's
occupancy.
fence.
Okay. All right, so do you understand my question, ma'am? That you'll have to get the fence repaired and obtain
New
a...
fence I now put on. I now put up.
I'm sorry?
I've now put new fence.
You've now put up new fence?
Yeah,
Okay.
right around.
Okay, well, that's good, thank you. But you'll have to complete these 5 requirements.
Yeah.
And then, when those are all completed, they might be all completed now, I don't know.
They're all
They all are,
completed,
okay. Well, now that those are completed, you can obtain a occupancy permit from the Division of Building Inspection.
Okay.
But you won't be able to accept the additional children until you receive that permit.
Okay.
You understand that?
Yeah, so I can go anytime to receive? the
Yes,
permit?
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. They'll come out and inspect your property and then issue one for
All
you.
right.
All right.
That's fine.
Does anyone else have any questions for staff or Ms. Bartholomew? Okay. If not, then I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that C 2009-1, Janet Bartholomew's appeal for a conditional use permit to provide family child care for up to 12 children in a single-family residential R1D zone on property located at 1425 Dale Drive be approved for the reasons recommended by the staff and subject to the conditions recommended by the staff.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Stumbo.
Excuse me, before you vote, do you have a photograph of the backyard? Jim, seems to be some concern over here about the play area and how the rear yard's configured.
You just want us to put that up on the overhead, Mr.
Yes, if
Young?
you don't mind. Ma'am, are you going to use the whole rear yard for play area?
Yes. Well, I have a shed in the backyard.
What about the driveway? Is it going to be used?
It's, yeah, well, it can hold 2 cars in the driveway.
How about in the backyard? It seems like, is the driveway in the backyard too?
Yes, it go right around to the backyard.
Mr. Marks? Have you been up in the LFUCG dirigible again? Took these photos?
Technical folks are working on that.
Oh, okay.
I was not out there at night, I can guarantee you.
Okay.
I guess my main concern is, will there be traffic back there backing in and out while your kids are back there?
No. No, it have no traffic, just the kids.
Okay. Wanted the staff to be aware of that, or the board.
We'll just pass that around so you can get a better look.
That's okay, we're satisfied. I'll take a look at it in the office, but
All right.
just a concern. All right.
Okay, so this is some kind of patio, and maybe that's a swing set? Okay. Oh, and that looks like a gate. Ms. Bartholomew?
Yes.
At the end, at the driveway, up near your house, the entrance to your backyard, is there a gate there?
Yes, a big gate, yes.
All right. I'll let everyone else look at this photograph, and then should be able to proceed with the vote.
Okay.
Okay. Everyone had a chance to look at the photograph? All right, then we have a motion by Ms. Moore. All those in favor of Ms. Moore's motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Motion passes. Congratulations. Good luck to you.
Thank you. I can go.
Mr. Chairman, is this not?
No, it's not on because they found they could do that by another. Okay, next case is C 2009-2, Brian Casale, the New Horizons Church. Are you Mr. Casale?
I am, Brian Cassell.
Am I pronouncing that right?
Cassell?
Casale, okay. Thank you. Now, Mr. Casale, the staff has recommended approval of your application with how many conditions? Subject to 5 conditions?
Yes,
Have
sir.
you reviewed those conditions?
Yes, I have.
And do you and your church agree to abide by those?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Now, you were here last February
That's correct.
and obtained a conditional use at that time?
Yes.
Now, the staff report wasn't clear, based on what they said, whether you had fully complied with the requirements that were, the conditions that were established at the February case last year.
If I may, I'll give you a quick update on
Please,
that.
I would like
First of all, our reapplying today is simply because we made a mistake on our last application. We were not fully aware of what we would need in terms of hours and capacity, and so we put those numbers that we knew at the time on our application. We've actually come back around now knowing what our hours and our capacity are, and so we just sort of had an expensive mistake in the sense that if we had known that back then, we would have done this all at one time. The update on terms of where we are, we have just started construction, so this has been a long process for us because the state held up our plans for 5 months for the daycare. So we are just now into construction and completing and complying with all of these requests, such as the sidewalk and so forth. So that's where the update is right now.
Okay. And how many kids are currently enrolled in your?
None at this point, as we are still under construction. We're just now taking employment applications and enrollment applications.
Okay. Now, I've got a question for staff. Mr. Hume, will the occupancy permit for the increased number of children, will that be contingent upon them completing the repairs from the the construction from the February case?
Yes,
Okay. So there won't be any children there until the construction's complete?
Right, that's correct.
right. And they've not offered or asked us for a certificate of occupancy on the first case, so I will just void that case and do my inspections based on these requirements of the higher number, if you
Okay.
decide
All
to
right.
approve it.
Yeah, we have not even gone to the Child Development Council yet for the licensing proper, because we're not there yet.
Okay.
It's been a longer
All right.
process than we had encountered or expected.
Well, I'm pleased that you've proceeded in this manner. You're the exception.
Great.
Generally, we have to tell people that people will come in and already accepted over their limit, and we have to admonish that's not correct. So I
Hope that's
appreciate
never
your-
the case for us.
No, well, you can tell your parishioners that we're pleased they proceeded this manner.
Right, thank you.
Can I have one question? I have one question just to clarify. When it says 225 children is the limit, is that at one time or
Yes.
total?
That's at one time.
Yes.
And your play area will be inside, is that correct?
No, sir, it will actually be outside.
All
We
right,
have a
where is
green-
that going to be? It's not depicted.
If you have a picture of our building, there's actually a green space attached to the, I'm not going to get my north, south, east, west correct, but there's green property actually attached to the building at one location, and that's been approved for us to put a play area there. It'll be fenced in
Approved by who?
appropriately. I'm assuming that when we did did all of this last February, that was agreed to at that time.
So you have 3,400 square feet of play area?
Yes. It would be where that large area up in the upper left corner of the screen, that is actually that green space right there where the pen is.
So you're
That's
going to
actually
have
a
to
big green
cross
space.
parking area to get to that?
No, not at all. The concrete path that the board has asked for actually will come out of the building and go back to that back parking area so that you'll not cross any parking in order to get to the play area, neither children, adults, no one.
So that play area will be fenced off to
Yes, sir.
traffic all the way around?
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks. Could we get a revised site plan showing that since none of this is depicted on this
We sure
particular
can.
map?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Hume, does that need to be a condition?
Please.
Okay. Are you agreeable with that, Mr.?
That's
Casale?
fine. Yeah, not a problem.
So that would be, maybe the staff can come up with some language that, number 6 would be a revised site plan.
I think if you look, number 1 talks about an amended site plan
Yes.
indicating the completion of all driveway and sidewalk improvements.
Okay.
And depicting the play area, and that would probably take care of by just amending that one.
Okay.
That'll work.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, that's what I thought as well, is that one actually covered that. And when we
Okay.
were done with full construction, we would submit those plans showing that we've approved before we would open or ask for the occupancy permit. That was my understanding.
Okay. So will we just add completion of all driveway, sidewalk improvements, and play area?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, fence play area. And, Mr. Casale, that's agreeable
Yes,
to you?
oh, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Are there any other questions or discussion? If not, okay. That look okay to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Then if there's no other questions or discussions, I'll ask for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we, in regard to case C 2009-2, Brian Casale, New Horizons Church, appeal for a conditional use permit to expand the capacity and hours of operation of a child care facility in a light industrial zone, I-1, on property located at 420 Fairman Road, be approved, subject to the conditions as recommended by the staff and as approved as recommended by the staff.
Thank you, Ms. Meyer. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Mr. Griggs. All those in favor of Ms. Meyer's motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Motion passes.
Thank you all very much.
All right, good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
Next case is C 2009-3, Phasic Tipton Company. Good afternoon. Would you state your name, please?
Susan Zender.
And Ben Palmerball.
My goodness. Susan, what's your last name, please?
Zender, Z-E-H-N-D-E-R.
Okay. And sir, your name?
It's Ben Palmerball. It's 2 words, Palmer and Ball.
Okay. Thank you.
And we also have Darren English here, who is a representative of Phasic Tipton. He's not speaking, but
Okay.
present.
Sure. All right. Thank you for being here. The staff's recommended approval of your conditional use, subject to the 5 recommendations. Have you reviewed those recommendations?
We have.
Okay, do you agree to abide by those?
Yes, sir.
We do.
Okay. Are there any questions for the applicant? Any discussion? Sorry. Perfect. Got a mute
We'll
crowd.
take it.
We got a mute crowd today. Seems like we have something we should pick on you about, but I can't find it.
Too bad.
So if there's no discussion or questions, I'll ask for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would like to recommend C 2009-3, Phasic-Tipton Company Incorporated, appeals for a conditional use permit to amend a previously approved site plan, clarifying that a new sales office building will include a full basement in the agricultural rural AR zone on property located at 2400 Newtown Pike in Council District 6, be approved as recommended by staff with the 5 conditions that are set forth.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. All those in favor of Ms. Edwards' motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, congratulations, motion passes.
Thank you all.
We'll
Good
take
luck
it.
to you.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. All right, the next case is C 2009-6, Atchison Heller Construction Company. Good afternoon.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. I'm Rory Cayley with EA Partners. I'm here on behalf of Atchison Heller.
All right, Mr. Keeley. The staff's recommended approval of conditional use subject to the 3 conditions. Have you and your client reviewed those conditions?
Yes.
You agreed to abide by those?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any questions for Mr. Keeley? Any discussion?
I have a question. Mr. Brown, if you don't
Oh.
mind. Is this a private club?
Yes.
Okay, just for the record.
We picked up the questionnaire from Nancy, and the
Okay.
lawyers are filling it out. We'll get it to you prior to asking for the plat creating the lot.
Okay, just for the board's information, this is a private club, so it'll have to meet the private club requirements in the ordinance. So I just wanted to mention that it was a private club. and
Okay.
had additional requirements.
All right.
And if you could, just put a 4th condition, should meet private club requirements. Is that right, Jim?
Is there something missing in condition number 3, Jim? Or condition number 2, sorry?
I'm sorry.
Private club.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Never mind.
Okay. Does that satisfy Mr. Hume? Okay. Anyone have any questions or discussion? Okay. If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that item C 2009-6, Atchison Heller Construction Company, appeals for a conditional use permit to allow existing clubhouse and pool to be retained as principal use on a separate lot in high-density apartment R4 zone on property located at 1950 Fort Harris Drive, be approved with the conditions as set forth by the staff.
Thank you, Mr. Stumbo. Do I have a second? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Griggs. All those in favor of Mr. Stumbo's motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Take care. Let's see. Oh, if I'm reading my agenda correctly, I believe we reached the end of our cases.
End of the casings, yes, but we still got
Some
election
bo-
of officers and...
Okay. All right, now we have board items, and first the meeting of the year, so we'll have an election of officers. We'll open the floor to nominations.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate our current chair as chairman of the board. And I know Mr. Stout is not here, so I'd like to go ahead and put forth his name as nomination as vice chair, and he's not here to argue that point.
Miss the meeting, you're going to be in trouble when it comes to elections.
Mr. Chair, I think we also need a secretary.
Well, I have a nomination for that. Since we have a staff member who's been serving us faithfully for months and months, I'd like to nominate Miss Brenda Howard as our secretary. Because believe it or not, but you can't? Now, I can nominate you. I can nominate you because I've been reading the bylaws, and I know that probably scares some people. I shouldn't, as a lawyer, I try not to let the law stand in my way. And the secretary does not need to be a member of the board, but the chair and vice chair do. So, but if Ms. Howard does not want to serve, then I'll let you nominate somebody, Mr. Stumbo.
Are you sure, Ms. Howard? Then I believe, because currently I believe our secretary is Mr. Griggs, and he has done such an outstanding job as secretary of this board, I'd like to renominate Mr. Griggs as secretary if he'd agree to that.
Only if Wanda doesn't want it.
All right, any discussion? Any other nominations? No. Okay, well, all those in favor of Mr. Stumbo's nominations, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you very much. Now, are there any staff items we need to address?
I have an item on mine. I'd like to bring before the board next month a revocation hearing for Fender Funeral Homes at 1593 Russell Cave Road for failure to meet all their conditions. They have yet to put in all their required parking and landscaping.
Now, did we grant them a conditional use or variance
Yes.
a couple of years ago?
Yeah, 05. And I've kind of given them some slack and made notification with them, and they said, oh, yeah, we're meant to call you, and we're going to come in and try to go back to the board, so I'm just going to expedite their return.
So is this the funeral home that's right before the library?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, I remember that case. Okay, and that's just so we know that it's going to be back on next month?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Well, I think you have to make a motion.
Oh, we do have to
bring
make a
it
motion?
back
Okay.
For revocation.
Then I'll entertain a motion to honor Mr. Hume's request.
So moved.
All right, thank you, Mr. Griggs. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you, Ms. Myers. All those in favor of Mr. Griggs' motion to permit Mr. Hume to bring a case back on for review, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. Thank you, Mr. Hume. I appreciate
Jim, what was
that.
the address for that again?
1593 Russell Cave Road. I've got a case number if you'd like. C 2005-53.
All right. Any other staff items?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. If I could refer you to the middle of page 5, on behalf of Mr. Griggs, we would ask you to have a motion to delegate your secretarial duties to Planning Services staff. It might we hope, prove helpful to the board.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Salih. Do I have a motion to delegate Mr. Griggs' duties?
So moved.
Pitiful. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor of delegating Mr. Griggs' meager duties to planning staff, please signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed?
That means we'll have to cut Mr. Griggs' salary.
That's right.
Does Ms. Howard get to vote on this?
Let's see. Any other staff items? Okay. Our next meeting is February 27th, 2009. If there's no other business, I'll adjourn the meeting at this time.
Like a record,